Hi everyone, I'm Lewis and welcome to Lewis's Football Mind. Today's video I'm doing my Premier League predictions for the 23-24 season. I'm doing my full table predictions, also top scorer, top assist maker, dark horses, underachiever, best young player and best player overall. So let's get started with the full table. On 20th place, and I've went for Wolverhampton Wanderers. I think Wolves could struggle a lot this season. Gary O'Neill's a very good manager, did a very good job at Bournemouth last year. Did very well keeping them up, even though hardly anyone thought they would. So I think Wolves could struggle this year, especially scoring. Only scored 31 goals in Premier League last season, and that was lower than relegated Southampton, who scored 36. So Wolves have to start scoring. Had 23 shots at Manchester United on last Monday, and that was the most by a away side since 2005 at Old Trafford. But couldn't score, missed several chances, and that could be the thing that keeps Wolves gets Wolves down, is not scoring. But if they start scoring, I think Wolves will be alright. But it is going to be a tough job for Gary O'Neill, who I think's been thrown under the bus. Obviously, Julian Lopetegui leaving a few days before the season started, and then Gary O'Neill coming in without no pre-season, no money to sign players, has to deal with the squad he's got. So he could struggle, but hopefully Wolves can do well under him this season. So 19th, I have went for Sheffield United, the newly promoted side who've been second in the Championship last season. Had a very good year under Paul Heckingbottom. Obviously, Sheffield United do have some financial issues off the pitch, so they can't spend a fortune like they did last time they were in the Premier League. But I think Sheffield United could struggle this year. Everyone's backs them to go straight back down, including me, but they could do what Bournemouth did and to find the odds in a way and stay up. But I think they could struggle this year, especially losing key players. Um, that could really have a big impact on their season. So I think it's going to be a very hard year for Sheffield United. 18th, I've went for Everton. It is Everton's last year at Goodison Park before they move into their new stadium located on the Bradley Moore Docks in Liverpool. So kind of end of an era for Everton fans. The stadiums have obviously been open since 1892, so very old historic stadium. But the big question is, will Everton be playing their new stadium in the Championship or the Premier League? That is the big question. Obviously, it could be the best stadium the Championship's ever seen, or it could be one of the best stadiums in the Premier League. But obviously, Everton struggled to score goals. Obviously, got fast 4-0 by Villa, lost 1-0 against Fulham, so it doesn't look good for Everton. But who knows? Sean Dyche just kept Burnley up several times when he was at the club, so he might do that again at Everton and define the odds yet again. Obviously, Everton staying up on the final day the last two seasons, so it will be hard to do it again. But we'll just have to wait and see. 17th, I went for Luton Town. Will the fairy tale continue? That is the main question this season for Luton Town fans and the whole Premier League in general. Obviously, Kenilworth Road isn't ready to host Premier League games yet. That's why the game against Burnley was postponed. But if Luton Town still Rob Edward immediately gets nominated for Manager of the Season, in my opinion. Keeping Luton up would be literally a fairy tale. But hopefully they can do it. It would be great to see Luton in the Premier League next season as well and keep building on the fairy tale. 10 years ago in the National League, now in the Premier League, it's unbelievable. Huge credit everyone associated with Luton Town. But hopefully the fairy tale can continue. But it's going to be a very hard season. I think they'll do what Huddersfield did. It'll be very hard all year. Obviously, their first year, they stayed up on the second last game of the season after they got a 1-1 draw at Stamford Bridge. But I think it'll be something like that. They could struggle this year, Luton, but hopefully they can stay up. Didn't start the best, losing 4-1 away to Brighton, but Brighton are obviously a fantastic team, so it's very hard to scrutinise Luton Town too much. But hopefully they can stay up this season. 16th, I went for Nottingham Forest. Last season, Nottingham Forest had 30 points overall in the Premier League. 30 of those points were home points, 8 of them were away points. So I think the thing that keeps Nottingham Forest up this season is their home form. It's pretty much what kept them up last year. Beat Arsenal, beat Liverpool, drew Manchester City at home last year. So they can give anyone a good game at the City ground, but they have to have good home form yet again this season. which I think that's why I think they'll stay up. I think it'll be another tight year, but I think they've got a squad good enough to stay in the Premier League. Obviously, I think the away form has to improve. 8 points is awful. Doesn't matter if you're in the Premier League or any league. 8 points away from home is terrible. So Nottingham Forest will have to get that away form better and keep the home form just as good as it was last year, which was the 10th best in Premier League. So that is why I've backed Nottingham Forest to stay up again this season, because of their home form. 15th I went for Crystal Palace. I think Crystal Palace have a very good team, but I don't think they'll really challenge anywhere this year. I think it'll just be, I don't think they'll be right in the relegation scrap, but I think they might be down there a little bit, but I don't think they'll be in danger at any point. But keep in mind, Olise was a big positive for Crystal Palace. Obviously, getting rid of that £35 million release clause, signing a new deal. I think Crystal Palace in a few years could get a lot of money for Michael Olise, so it's brilliant business by Steve Parish and the club. I think keeping players like Eze is important. Obviously, losing Wilfried Zaha is a big blow. Obviously, how long he's been at Crystal Palace and the impact he had on the team. But he was injured a lot last year. But when he played, he was a fantastic player. So Crystal Palace could miss that flair. But the strikers do have to step up this year. Edouard and Mateta have to step up if Crystal Palace want to have a good season under Roy Hodgson, who is still going strong. Oldest manager in the Premier League, so credit to him. 14th, I have went for Burnley, who won the championship last year, 101 points under Vincent Kompany. What a job he's done. I think he did fantastic last season, but a lot of people have backed Burnley for around mid-table, which I agree with. I think a lot of people did back them and then they've changed their mind after that Manchester City game, but you can't really judge a promoted side losing 3-0 to the treble winners. So you have to back Burnley this year. I think they've got a very good squad, very good manager, and I think Burnley will be okay this year. And it'll be interesting to see how they do, especially under Vincent Kompany, who was reportedly linked with the Tottenham job, but they put, which I think was the right decision for him. So yeah, I think Burnley will be okay this season, but it could be an interesting year for Vincent Kompany's side. 13th, I went for Fulham. Obviously, Fulham have had quite a turbulent pre-season. Obviously, Mitrovic is left, I think now. I don't know if it's confirmed, but I think he has left the club now for 50 million. Obviously, Marco Silva was linked with Saudi Arabia all summer, so that doesn't create a good atmosphere in the dressing room. Obviously, a lot of players injured during pre-season, so it hasn't been the best start for Fulham. They did beat Everton 1-0, but then they got thrashed 3-0 by Brentford at the time of recording. So I think it could be I still think Fulham will have a good year. I think Marco Silva is a good manager. I think he did the right decision not going to Saudi Arabia, but could be a hard year for Fulham. I don't think they'll do it as well last season, but I definitely don't think they'll be in a relegation scrap. So I think Fulham, I don't think they'll do anything really interesting this year, but obviously staying in the Premier League would, again, is fantastic for Fulham. Obviously, after being a yo-yo team last few times, they've been in the Premier League, staying up again this season would be brilliant for Fulham, because I think they are a very good side and a very good football club. On the 12th, I went for Bournemouth. Obviously, last year everyone backed Bournemouth, including myself, to go down, but they defied the odds and stayed up under Gary O'Neill after Scott Parker got sacked. So Bournemouth, I think they are a very good team. They've made some very smart signings, including Alex Scott from Bristol City, Milos Kurta from AZ in Netherlands. So I've made some smart signings. They have a new manager who plays very nice football. Obviously, that's going to take some time. I think Bournemouth, I don't think they'll start fantastic. They haven't started the season brilliantly, but once they get used to the new manager style, once they get used to each other, I think Bournemouth will be okay this season and could push for mid-table. So I think Bournemouth are definitely one of the teams to watch this year under their new manager. 11th, I've went for West Ham. Obviously, Conference League winners last year. No Declan Rice, who was won at Arsenal for £105 million. West Ham don't get all that money at once, to get around £35 million of that Declan Rice money this summer, and they have used it to sign Edson Alvarez from Ajax, James Ward-Prowse from West Ham to boost the midfield. So I think they're very smart signings. Obviously Eden Alvarez does have a lot of pressure on him. Obviously Declan Rice is a superb player and very hard to replace. But I think West Ham done very well with the money here, getting two very interesting players. Obviously one doesn't have Premier League experience but looks very good at Ajax, and then one who has lots of Premier League experience and proven in this division in James Ward-Prowse. So I think West Ham, I don't think they'll have a brilliant year. Obviously, I think they'll be better than last season. It'll be interesting to see how they do in the Europa League, obviously in Europe again this year. But I think it will be the last year West Ham are in Europe for a while. So 10th, I've went for Tottenham. Now this is controversial. Obviously Tottenham, they've played brilliant so far under Ange Postecoglou, but I think there is a lot more teams stronger than Tottenham this season. I think even if Tottenham do finish 10th, even if I'm right or wrong, I think Ange Postecoglou is the right person to take Tottenham to the higher end of the Premier League and in Europe. I think he's a superb manager, won trophies everywhere he's went. So I think the important thing Tottenham do is to give him time, give him the signings he wants, invest in him. Obviously, no hiking, that's a big blow for Tottenham, but in a way, they got 100 million for him, where next summer he would have left for nothing. So there is money there to invest in the team, to get a new striker, to get new players that the manager wants, so Tottenham can be the best team they can be. But I think Ange Postecoglou could be a fantastic manager at Tottenham. Maybe not this season, but over the next few years, I think Tottenham are definitely a team to watch under Ange Postecoglou. So ninth I've went for Brentford. Obviously, what a year they had last season under Thomas Frank. Fantastic manager. Big talking point for Brentford is obviously no Ivan Toney, who is banned for half the season. So it is a chance for new players to step up to the occasion, including Bryan Mbeumo, Wan Wissa, who have performed very well so far this season in the first two games. So I think Brentford will be alright this season. I don't know if Toney will come back to Brentford or he will go elsewhere. In an interview, he was saying he'd like Liverpool and Arsenal, but we'll just have to wait and see about that when he comes back from his suspension. So I think it's a brilliant opportunity for Brentford to rise up to the occasion and take the opportunity to be stars of Brentford. I think Bryan Mbeumo made Ivan Toney better at times. Ivan Toney's a superb player, but I think Bryan Mbeumo is as well. So I think he's underrated as well. Wan Wissa's a very good player too. So I think Brentford will be fine this year for Ivan Toney. Obviously, no David Raya as well, who's went to Arsenal for the season. I think Flecken's a good keeper who signed from Freiburg in the Bundesliga. So I think Brentford are fine this season. Obviously, Nathan Collins as well from Wolves. So Brentford have made some very smart signings and look very good again for this season. 8th place I went for Aston Villa. Obviously, didn't start the season very well. Obviously, got fast 5-1 away at Newcastle, but hit back, which I thought they would, and beat Everton 4-0. So they've definitely balanced the goal difference in a way. But Aston Villa, they'll be happy how they perform against Everton, though, not against Newcastle though. But I think Aston Villa this year, a lot of people are saying top 4. I don't think they will get top 4. I don't think people should get that carried away, but obviously, brilliant manager Unai Emery. Obviously, could be in the Conference League. I think they're playing Hibernian tonight at the time recording for a place in the Europa Conference League. So that'll be interesting to see how they do if they're in Europe this year, plus the Premier League and domestic competitions. So Unai Emery's a fantastic manager. It just depends how they do in Europe and how they do in the Premier League. So I have one for 8th. I don't think people should get too carried away with Aston Villa, but they are definitely a team that look interesting and made some very smart signings, including Pau Torres, Moussa Diaby, Yuri Tielemans, etc. So next we are on the 7th. I've went for Chelsea. Obviously, Chelsea can't get as bad as they were last season. They were terrible last year, even though they've spent so much money. This year, I don't think Mauricio Pochettino will hit the ground running straight away. I think you have to, again, like Tottenham, you have to give the manager time. Well, Chelsea have definitely backed them with money and signings, so I think you just have to give the team time. They've signed so many players, it'll take a while for them to gel together. But once they gel together, I think Chelsea could be a real threat. I think they are missing a top world class striker, Nicholas Jackson. does look like a very good player, but he's not. I don't think he's going to make impact like Erling Haaland yet. Maybe, who knows? He might become a world class player eventually, but not this season. Definitely not. But I think that's what Chelsea missing. Obviously, got a lot of injuries, including Chris Van Nkunku, who signed from Leipzig for £52 million. So I think that'll be interesting to see how Chelsea do. Obviously, Nkunku out of Christmas, so that is a big blow for Chelsea. But it'll be interesting to see how they do. Obviously, so many new signings, so much money, and a lot of departures as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Chelsea do this season. Sixth, I've went for Brighton and Hove Albion, who are top of the table as I'm recording. Brighton look unbelievable. Obviously lost Caicedo, lost Sanchez. They have lost players. But they've also signed players. Marcus de Hood from Dortmund, James Milner from Liverpool. They have signed some really good players. Obviously lost Levy Colwill, who has went back to his parent club Chelsea. So that is a big blow for Brighton. But they look brilliant so far this season. Beat Luton 4-1, beat Wolves 4-1. Players like Estepinian, Matoma, March and Ciso starring for Brighton. So Brighton look fine this year. Maybe they'll get some more signings in before deadline day, we don't know. But I think Brighton could be a real threat this year. I don't think title challenge, no, definitely not. But who knows? Brighton have pulled a lot of surprises in the last few years, especially under Roberto De Zerbi, who is a superb manager. But again, it'll be interesting to see how Brighton do. Obviously, they are in Europe as well, so it just depends how they do in the Europa League as well and domestic competitions to see how that squad will do. But I think Brighton are a very, very good team and very well run football club. De Zerbi's a fantastic manager, and hopefully Brighton do very well this year because I do like Brighton a lot. Fifth place, I went for Manchester United. Haven't started the season well. Beat Wolves 1-0. Shouldn't have won that game, but they did, so fair enough. And then Tottenham beat them 2-0. So they haven't started the season well. The midfield's been criticised a lot, so it'll be interesting to see how Manchester United do this year. Obviously started really bad last season. Lost 2-1 to Brighton on the opening day last year, and then lost 4-0 to Brentford. So it'll be interesting to see how Manchester United do this year. I think obviously they are missing a striker. I think it'll depend on how Ramses Højlund comes into the squad. Obviously he's injured at the moment, but when he comes into the squad, it'll be interesting to see how he does. Obviously a lot of pressure on him. I think he'll be put straight into the team. Obviously, because they are missing a striker, you can 100% tell that. But it'll be interesting to see how he does this year because there is a lot of pressure on him this season. Obviously, Onana signed from Inter Milan, so they have made some signings. Manchester United under Erik ten Hag has spent more money than Jurgen Klopp has in the 8 years he's been at Liverpool. So it just shows how much money they have. Even though Manchester United fans don't like the Glazers, I just don't get that. Try having our own as Manchester United fans, and you'll see how we feel. But the Glazers they're spending money, But obviously, I'm not a Manchester United fan, so I don't know everything going on at the club. But they are spending money, unlike Liverpool owners, but who have spent money, but obviously not as much money as the top teams. But yeah. Getting back onto topic, Manchester United this season, I think they have a good team, but I don't think they have improved massively, Obviously they spent a lot of money, over 70 million Højlund, 60 million Mount, 51 million Onana, I believe. So they have spent money, but it will be interesting to see how they do this season. But I don't think they have improved massively this season, but it'll be interesting to see how Erik ten Hag does in his second year at Manchester United. And they are back in the Champions League as well, so it will be interesting to see how Manchester United do this season. Fourth place, I've won for Newcastle United. Obviously, they are in the Champions League this season. Again, kind of like Brighton, it'll be interesting to see how the team does in the Champions League. Obviously, got a very good squad, signed some good new players, but it will be interesting to see how they do with domestic competitions, the Premier League and the Champions League. So it will be interesting. But I think Newcastle could have a very good year. I think they've started the season well. Really played well against Aston Villa, win 5-1. I don't think they played very well against Manchester City, but only lost 1-0, so there is positives to take out the game. Obviously, really hard game next against Liverpool, so that'll be a very interesting game. But I think Newcastle could have a very good year. I think they could define the odds again, get Champions League again. I think they could go on a good Champions League run. I really do back Newcastle in Champions League this year to go far. I don't think they'll get the final, but I think the quarterfinals, even semi-finals could be realistic, just depending on injuries, etc. So it'll be interesting to see how Newcastle do this season under Eddie Howe yet again. Third place, I've went for Liverpool. Signed Endo, Szoboszlai and McAllister. So bit of a revamp in the midfield needed last year. That's why he did so bad last year. I think midfield was a big factor. I think the defence, I still think we need another centre back or right back. Obviously, Trent Alexander-Arnold will want to go into his inverted right back position this season. So it will be interesting to see how Liverpool do. I still think we need another 6 and another centre back. It doesn't look like we're going to get another 6, or we might get a centre back, but it doesn't look like in the last 2 days of the transfer window. So it will be disappointing if we don't get anyone else for the door. But I think McAllister, Szoboszlai, two very good players. Obviously, a World Cup winner in the midfield is a big factor, and it's a big bonus for Liverpool. Obviously, Endo, a lot of criticism over him, but he is 30. But I think he had a very good debut against Bournemouth. Even though the circumstances he came on weren't great, I think he did very well, very professional. So I think he's definitely a player to watch this season for Liverpool. But I don't think we'll be put at title challengers, but who knows? You have to back your team, I suppose. So come on, the Reds this season. Come on. So second place, I went for Manchester City. Start the season well. 2 clean sheets in a row. Beat Burnley on the opening night 3-0, then beat Newcastle 1-0. Obviously had a Super Cup game in between in Greece, which they won on penalties against Sevilla. So Manchester City again this season look very good. But I don't think they'll win this year. No team has ever won the league 4 times in a row in England. So who knows? Another record could be broken for Manchester City this year. But I am going interested in seeing the second. I think their squad has got weaker. I think signing Kovacic from Chelsea is a very smart signing, and Joshua Gvardiol from Leipzig, who looks very good, who can play centre back, left back, so very versatile. But I think losing some key players like Gundogan, Mahrez, etc., I think that's a big blow. And then also De Bruyne out for half of the season is a massive blow for Manchester City. So who knows? Pep Guardiola is a world-class manager. He definitely has a plan. But I'm just going to be bold here and say Manchester City will finish second. On the first place, and I've went for Arsenal, who have also started the season perfectly. Won 2-1 on the opening day against Nottingham Forest, and then beat Crystal Palace on the Monday Night Football 1-0. So Arsenal definitely a team to watch. I think they've got a very good team. I think Arteta's got a very good mindset, mentality for Arsenal. So close last year. Obviously, after coming to Anfield, bottling a 2-goal lead, that's when the bottle jobs started. Sorry, Arsenal fans, but obviously Liverpool, I know how it feels as a Liverpool fan in a way. But I think also this year will be Manchester City. They do remind us of Liverpool a few years ago. Obviously, we came so close to win the league, and then a year later we ran away with it. I don't think Arsenal will run away with it this year, but I think they're definitely going to be up there again. I think that Manchester City, maybe Liverpool could go for the title this year, but I went for Arsenal. Obviously, Bukayo Saka, Odegaard, Martinelli, etc. They're the players to look out for this year, and they've already performed very well in the first 2 games. I think striker could be a big factor. Jesus is injured at the moment, but I think that is one difference between Manchester City and Arsenal, that Arsenal don't have world-class striker, and Manchester City do. So that is the thing that could be the defining difference in both teams this season. So now let's go on to the individual predictions. Top goal scorer, I went for Erling Haaland. It's a bit silly if you don't back him. obviously brilliant year last year, 52 goals in all competitions, scored 2 on the opening day against Burnley. Obviously you have to back them, but who knows? I think honourable mentions, obviously Alexander Isak, I think, who could have a very good year in the for Newcastle in the Premier League. I think Darwin Núñez, I think he could have a very good year. If he scores 1 goal after that, I think he could score a lot of goals this year and looks very sharp already in pre-season and against Chelsea. So I think the strikers to look out for, obviously, Nicholas Jackson. It'll be interesting to see how he does at Chelsea. Rasmus Højlund. So it will be interesting to see how those players do this year, but I still think Erling Haaland will win the Golden Boot. Top assist maker, I've went for Mohamed Salah. Obviously got an assist on the opening against Chelsea, which was a world-class pass to Luis Diaz. Very underrated pass. But I think Mo Salah could have a very good year. Obviously, if he doesn't leave, obviously the Saudi saga for Mo Salah, there has been a lot of rumours. I don't know how reliable sources are, but there has been a lot of rumours of Mo Salah leaving to Saudi Arabia. But hopefully he stays. Hopefully he has a good year. I think he could have a very good season for Liverpool. I think the African Cup of Nations is on in January, so he will be away for a bit, but I still think Mo Salah could have a very good year. Also, Trent Alexander-Arnold want to watch for top assist maker. It just depends how much he pushes in midfield this year, or if Jurgen Klopp keeps him just at right back. So, but even at right back, Trent Alexander-Arnold has got many assists in the past, so you can't put it past him again. So I think they're players to watch for the top assist maker. Dark horses, I went for Luton. Luton Town staying up is overachieving, in my opinion. Obviously, I said before, I think if they stay up, Rob Edwards should be nominated for Manager season straight away. But yeah, Luton I definitely want to watch. Hopefully they stay up. Hopefully Fairytale continues. So yet again, good luck to Luton Town this year. The underachievers, I've went for Wolverhampton Wanderers. Obviously Junior Lopetegui leaving, Gary O'Neill coming in a few days before the season started. It's not the best for the dressing room. Obviously Gary O'Neill can't spend money because of financial fair play, so it could be a very hard year for Wolves. But that's why I've went for underachieving. I think underachieving is getting relegated. Obviously Wolves have made themselves a very strong Premier League side, but I think they could go down this season, but we'll just have to wait and see. Best young player, I've went for Bukayo Saka. Obviously what a player he is. I think definitely one to watch this season. Obviously scored a very good goal against Nottingham Forest on the opening weekend of the Premier League. So again, I still think he'll have a very good season. Guaranteed starter, so he's going to be playing pretty much every game in the Premier League this season for Arsenal. I think he's played over 80 games in a row for Arsenal Premier League, beating Paul Merson and Trent Rhodes. So he's a very good player and always available, which is fantastic for Arsenal. That's why I went for him as the best young player. Obviously, players were obviously Erling Haaland, young player, but I didn't really want to put him twice. Obviously, Szoboszlai, who's young, the Levi Colwill for Chelsea. There is young players, obviously Martinelli as well, who's very young. So there is young players to watch out for this year. So much young talent in the Premier League. Best player, I've went for Martin Odegaard. I think if Arsenal win the Premier League this season, I think Arsenal player will surely get best player of the season. Definitely one of the attacking players. And I think Martin Odegaard is one of the best midfielders in the world. Obviously De Bruyne injured at minute. I think he's best central attack midfielder in the Premier League. He creates so much chances, goals, assists, and makes a big impact on the Arsenal midfield. So definitely one to look out for. I think I've went for manager to get sacked first. I went for David Moyes. I think West Ham, obviously, just winning the Conference League. I think West Ham will have very high expectations on their team, and I think they have to be a bit more realistic. Obviously, beating Chelsea 3-1 is a very good start, but they have to be realistic, West Ham, and I think underachieving could mean David Moyes could get the sack. It just depends how they start the season and how they do in Europe this season. So they are my Premier League predictions for the new 23-24 season. So thank you guys for watching. I do apologise for how late my predictions are and me not posting videos in the last 2 days. A few technical difficulties in the last few days, so I also have been busy, so my apologies for them. So I will try to post another video a day, which will be my reacting to my match day 2 predictions. So hopefully you guys can watch that as well as this video. So thank you guys for watching, and hopefully see you in the next video.